Are you trying to figure out where to get the newest shoes, where to get the best accessories, where to support a black business? Well, look no further. www.shopbesold.com. That's www.shopbesold.com. If you're looking for the best trends, and if you want to look fly while in quarantine, and when you get out of quarantine, this is the place to go. I'm telling you right now, and tell them Double T sent you. That's www.shopbesold.com.
Welcome to The Spot, the podcast. Join your boy Double T as we discuss music, sports, entertainment, culture, and so much more. So sit back, relax, and welcome to The Spot.
Welcome back to The Spot. I'm your host, Double T. Once again, thank you for tuning in. And you could have been anywhere in the world with me, but you're here with your boy, Double T. Now, today I have a very special guest at The Spot. Now, me personally, I believe when you're starting off in a new venture in life, whether it's a new business, a new job, a new career, sports, it's always great to have someone take you under their wing, kind of help guide you a little bit. So today I have the honor, I call him my big brother in the podcast game. I have the host of the award-winning Nopixafterdark podcast. Today we have Aaron. Aaron, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm great, man. Thanks for coming in today.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. I never do interviews. And, when you asked me to do it, it was a no-brainer. I said it was yes right away. And I'm very excited for what you got going on. I'm excited for your podcast. I've been watching it for a while. And when you start doing it on YouTube and then you transform with podcasting, it's a beautiful thing. And, what they say at New Jack City, I'm my brother's keeper. So that's what
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I wanted to have you on because, like you said, with the YouTube, you've been helping me out from jump. Like, you've been just sending me messages, like, helping me out, just encouraging me, helping me with certain things. And, a lot of people don't do that. Like, so I just want to say thank you, man, for just doing that. And, that's an honor because, just because you can, some people still won't do it. So you had to, you were man enough to that's my friend. Let me help him out. So I appreciate that, man.
Brother, you know what? I tell anybody this. I will give anybody free advice and help. I tell them my phone's always on. My door is always open for anybody, and I see that you have a good talent for storytelling and you have a great talent. And I just was like, I've known you for a while, so let's get you on. Let's get you started the right way, not the wrong way. And get you right, and that's the most important thing about podcasting because nobody ever taught me. I had to learn on my own. So I wanted to make sure you didn't make mistakes I made.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Now, speaking of podcasts, what made you want to start a podcast? Was it like something you always wanted to do, like in the back of your mind, or did you wake up one day and you were like, man, I'm going to start a podcast?
It's crazy, man. I didn't really start listening to podcasts until probably 3 or 4 years ago, to be perfectly honest. I heard about them, but I never just had time to listen to them. And I had friends who listen to Serial, who listen to, Joe Rogan all the time. And they love those podcasts. And I was like, cool, let me figure this out. And kept on listening a little bit here and there. I'm like, these stories are cool, but I can't relate to any of these damn stories,
Right.
And I really couldn't, It was always like some axe murderer or somebody shot or unsolved mystery or Joe Rogan talking about rich people lifestyles. And I'm like, I guess, people use podcasts kind of like keeping the Kardashians. That's how I equivalent to because they maybe want to get away from reality sometimes. And when we listen to Joe Rogan and those guys, that's their reality. It's not our reality, obviously. So
right.
I guess get in the way. So, make a long story short, I was like, you know what? There's nothing that relates to me out there that I want to hear. That's something I can identify with. And when you find that, you're like, all right, I don't want to be a certain style. I don't want to be, a barbershop style because I've seen LeBron's TV show. I've seen all the TV shows that done the barbershop styles. And they're cool when they have their own lane. And I listened to a couple shows like that. But I just wanted to be something unique. So I was like, let me find something that I like that's about me. That's something my friends and I would like and enjoy. And my friends and I like it, then you know what? I'm going to keep on rocking it that way. And that's pretty much how it started. I mean, as you know me, we used to go out to Canton.
Yeah.
Fells. We'd go on the spot, run the gun, go to the bar, drinks be in our hand before we even get there. So I need something different. I need something different, and I had a son, so it got to slow down a little bit and find a hobby out here, and that's where it came from, the hobby, the passion.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, what made you choose the name Nopixafterdark?
So I've always told, I tell this story not too often, but so originally the way the podcast was going to start off, it was going to talk about a lot of the crazy stories that my friends and I have had over the years, and things that you might think are unbelievable, but they actually did happen. And I mean, we were the original Hangover before the movie came out. They just had money to do it. So that's how I look at it, and if people think I'm lying, ask anybody. So we used to do that and have a good time. And some of the stuff I wouldn't believe if I heard it. And I was like, all right, we used to have the theme party called Nopixafterdark theme party, like every year. That was our theme. It was like, you can't take a picture of the dark because nothing good happens when nightfall hits.
Right.
Nothing good.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you might have dinner, but once it goes past that, you about to get into some witchery or sorcery late night. You got a couple of drinks in you out there for the night. So Nopixafterdark basically was a saying that we always start every summer, and just you want to live the moment and enjoy the moment. So that relates back to the podcast of being in the moment, listening to the podcast, understand the story, blocking the whole world out and be like, wow, this is really deep. Live in the moment. Don't be taking selfies. Don't be doing this. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your time. And that's what Nopixafterdark is all about.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because sometimes, people are out and they're so busy on their phones that you're missing the moment. You're missing the whole point of being out. Like, why are you on your phone?
Well, that's why it's funny you say that. I just don't go out anymore. I mean, forget pandemic. Before pandemic was happening, I would go out, like you said, and you look around, it'd be 50 people in a bar. Out of 50 people, 30 on their phone.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing? And I don't mean like a quick, like, let me check a text message and put my phone away. I'm talking like on the phone the entire time.
And that sucks, that takes out being part of the moment. You might miss something cool. You might, I don't know, man. It's human interaction. A girl or a guy may be waiting for that girl or guy or he or she or him to show up, whoever may be looking for. And they on the phone. Where are they? Checking Instagram, checking my likes. Come on, enjoy. Let's talk. Let's have talk. Let's drink. Let's have conversation about how work was all week. What's going on with sports. Like, have talk shit, drink, and enjoy yourself. But that's what it is all about. So Nopix is all about that, man. It's just being in the moment, man. You got to be the moment. Enjoy yourself, and that's what I stay true to all the time.
So we kind of already dived into it, but if you can give us like an overall synopsis of what the Nopixafterdark podcast is all about. It's, real life stories. It's people that that you experience things with. It's people that you you went to school with and they had these different experiences. If you can give us like kind of like overall, like what it's about.
It's a culture and community-based podcast, and sharing real people's stories that need to be told. There's so many stories that the news won't talk about, and so many great things. They want to hear about the horror stories. Cause it sells, and we just want to have a good human experience, building community, and just and this is my passion project. That's what I like doing, and having people understand this more than meets the eye out there, and then what you see.
Yeah. See, I love that. I love when people have passion for something, because I feel like some people do things just to do it. But when you have a passion behind it, it shows. It shows, and it shows in your podcast, man. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you have, I think, I'm not sure, but I think you're getting close to like 100 episodes. How many episodes have you done?
I am right now at 78.
78. Wow, that's a lot of stories. It's a lot of stories.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, it's 52 weeks in a year, and I'm at 78.
Right.
So I took off. It's weird. I took off like a couple weeks last year because I just needed a quick break. And I took off a couple weeks this year also. And just a week here and there just to reload. But it's a lot, man. I mean, I was pushing out podcasts one a week for like 30 weeks straight.
Yeah, that's awesome though, man. Do you have like any, I mean, you have so many. I know they're like all your favorite, but off the top of your head, do you have any favorite episodes or any like favorite memories of some of your podcasts?
Ooh, that's a good question, man.
I know it's a tough one.
That's a really good question. Can I give you all right? So off the top of my head, what's the one? Garrett R was from No Job to Politics. That's one of the most fascinating stories. I like that.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones, right?
First ones.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
one of the first ones, correct. And the reason why I tell people to go back and listen to that one is because we're going through some times right now where people don't have jobs and, they've been rejected and whatnot, rejected. And this guy has got rejected over and over again. And I will tell you right now, he's one of the smartest people I know. And he got rejected from the military, but he kept on going and kept on pushing until he knocked the door down and got to where he got to. And he has a great job right now in politics. So that's an inspirational one. There's another one. I'm trying to think. Mental health health, and that was with Dr. Louisa Footman. That was really good about just mental health, and we talked about social media. We talked about signs, a lot of just different things that she brought up that hit home. So a lot of people really enjoyed mental health awareness, and wow, there's so many. There's so many, man.
I know.
I can't even remember. You know what? It was a really cool one. I will tell you that a lot of people probably sleep on. It was. I interviewed Sugar. Do you know what Sugar store is? It's a store in Baltimore. It's a sex shop. It's a sex shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Hamden, man. And it was my first podcast outside of my friends. And
okay.
I remember this podcast. I always remember this. It was like 50 or no, it was like hot summer, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, I'm about to be one of those dudes walking through the sex shop. And normally if I ever go to the sex shop, it's like jokingly with a couple of friends, but I'm going by myself in there,
Right.
And I'm like, I'm about to meet the owner. I never met the owner a day in my life. Never met her. And we just like linked up on Twitter. I was like, hey, I want to interview you. I think you got something cool. And it was one of the most fascinating interviews I've ever had. Wow. I was educated. Wow. It was a lot of education that I just didn't know about. And she made me feel at ease. And it was impactful for me. So I really enjoyed Sugar. That was one of those episodes that people probably slept on. But if you go back to it, it's probably one of the best episodes, actually.
Wow. And I love that you cover so many different topics with your episodes. It's literally something for everybody. It's just, and you learn something new in every episode. I think that's another dope thing about your podcast, that you're covering breast cancer and mental health awareness and the sex shops and politics. It's something for everybody, man. I try to tell people, but I don't want to be boxed in. That's the worst thing to be in a podcast, is boxed in. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's why I try to tell people, keep it wide. Don't get boxed in. Don't people say, oh, he's just a barbershop. That's all he is. There's so much guys talking shit. Because then you're boxed in. Or you're like, I'm strictly this. Then you're boxed in. Now, don't get me wrong. A niche audience is a niche audience. That's a beautiful thing. If it works for you, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. But that's just not how I roll. I look at everything as a whole, and I try to see the value in stories. I do my research on the people I interview with. I make sure the stories are legit. I make sure that we have a vibe when we're having a conversation. As you know, being a podcaster now, it's hard to get good interviews, man. And
It is.
the vibe has to be right, man. The vibe has to be right, and the chemistry has to be awesome. And that's what's all about to make a great podcast, to be honest with you.
It is. It is. And it's funny that you bring that up because, you think you can just interview anybody, but you really just can't. You can't work with just anybody. It's sometimes you got to say no. Like if you're not vibing, if you're not on the same page, it just doesn't work. Now, this is some advice that you've been telling me. So, as you've been helping me out in the beginning, you told me that no one really, when you first started, no one really helped you. No one really, you didn't have that person to kind of guide you. So if you could start over, what would be one thing you would do different when you started Nopixafterdark?
If I could do anything over again, what I would first do is I would spend more money up front, like a really good microphone. Got those expenses out the way. I enjoy what I record out of. I wish I would have taken some time to learn how to edit and learn how to understand how to edit, because editing is one of the most important things.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know how to fix an edit, then your podcast is going to be garbage. Another thing that I was taught in the beginning, and I always tell everybody this: unlike a YouTube video, they see your face the whole time. Right. You can have reactions. But with a podcast, all they hear is our voice. Yeah. So our voice is the most important instrument in this whole entire podcast. Our voice and how it spits out in that sound to that person's radio player, their iTunes, their headphones. They're on a jog. They're doing whatever they're doing. That's the most important thing, is sound. And I didn't have the right sound in the beginning, but that's one of the first things that I wish I would learn in the beginning, but I caught on real quick. But again, I would probably say A would be get a good microphone. B would probably learn how to edit. And 3, make sure your sound is top of the line. One of the biggest compliments I get all the time from most of the people that listen to me is my sound. They like, you are crystal clear. And people love that because they don't want to hear static. They don't want to hear echoing. They don't want to hear all the other craziness in the background. They want to hear you, your story, and they want to just have you catch on to every word. You want them to engage every word you're saying. Like you say drop, they're like, oh, where's it dropping to? Every word. So you got to be engaging. So that's what I tell young podcasters out there. And stick with a theme. If you have a story, don't go all over the board. Write a script out. You think you're a sports guy, right?
Right.
Okay. You think Stephen A. and Max and Skip and them just freestyle this off the top of their head?
Absolutely not.
Right. So, and that's why their show works, because they got money. They got people who write these shows out for them, but it sticks to a script and it doesn't go all over the place. They stick to the script, and people don't want to think when they listen to a podcast. They just want their mind to flow with it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not going to say any podcast name, but I've listened to some podcasts, and it's like, I'm just like, dude, this nigga's all over the place. Like he's here, he's there. It loses you. And like you said, all you hear is their voice. So it's, that's carrying the whole episode. So if you're lost, you're not into it. It's tough. And speaking of the sound and all that, if you have to say what's your favorite thing about having a podcast or doing a podcast? What do you enjoy the most? The people I interview. Yeah. Because that's the most exciting part of my interview, is getting there and talking with them. And, before COVID, man, I would sit down, have coffee with them before I had the podcast, and we just vibe, man. I mean, I have so many great relationships from I've interviewed. I still talk to every single one of them. They ask me, do you need help? Do you need a guest? I have Scout. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful network. And it's just that's my thing. I just love the people. Yeah, absolutely, man. And you know what? People don't talk anymore. Everybody is you text or you're on social media. So, I know it was a question for you, but for me too, that's the same thing, man. It's nice just to have a conversation with somebody.
Just like we're doing right now. But
Absolutely.
people can't do that right now, bro. People don't know how to speak to people. They don't have conversations. They don't have them anymore. You'll be in a room. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you're at somebody's house and there's a basketball game on or whatever sporting event may be on.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 8 seats in the room. Out of the 8 seats, 4 people texting.
Right. Like the game's on, man. Why can't we just relax and talk about the game?
Nah, man. It's about that instant gratification. People want the instant gratification, man.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's wild, man. And then speaking of wild, the Nopixafterdark podcast actually won the best podcast in the Baltimore Sun. That's correct, right?
Yes.
2020.
Yes, it did.
That's, first of all, congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Can you just tell us about that experience? Like, how was that?
So, this is crazy how it happened. One of my coworkers and I were talking one day at work, and they were like, "You have a dope podcast, man. Like, keep on doing what you're doing." And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Baltimore Sun just came out with the Readers Baltimore Sun nomination process." And I said, "Oh, okay, whatever." Without me knowing, they nominated me. And they were like, "I'm going to tell my whole family, I'm going to tell our families, friends, that we're going to nominate you." Cool. Okay. I said, "All right, cool." I find out later. So then I said, "Well, this is a big city. Who cares?" I don't know if anybody really going to nominate, you're going against Pratt Library, who has a podcast, who's Enoch Pratt, one of the biggest institutions in Baltimore. You're going against Wes Moore, who's one of the big time authors in Baltimore, from out of Baltimore. He used to have his own TV show on CNN, and he has podcasts. Wow. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Got some heavy hitters that were in this podcast game from Baltimore who were in this, and I got nominated to it, and it was just crazy. I got nominated, and then the voting came. And I just told people, hey, listen, if you want to vote for me, please. If not, you have a choice of what you want to do. And it just blew up. And I had people from California to Florida to New York, from everywhere, just voting, man, just showing me love. And it was a beautiful thing because the community around me supported me also. I always tell people, where I live right now, the community has really backed me. They really have supported my goals, and they love the stories I'm telling. And
right.
They were very instrumental of just getting that vote out, letting people know we have a local podcaster. We have a lot of great local podcasters in my community I live in right now. But these guys, they said you got something, Aaron, and we wanted to make sure you win. And it was just a beautiful thing. And from that point on, it just snowballed, and it was crazy. Like, I found out in a weird way. I was literally sitting at home during COVID, and this person I know reached out to me and said, "Congratulations, you won Best of Baltimore." And I said, "Come on, stop playing." It's Baltimore Sun. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. It's the Baltimore Sun. How many Black podcasters win something like this in the city of Baltimore?
Right.
You're going against Enoch Pratt, okay? You're going against Wes Moore. You're going against NPR shows. You're going against a cooking school show. You're going against whole WYPR had 4 different shows on them that I don't even listen to. Again, representation matters, and that's what I try to tell people, man. Representation matters, and I won, and I was just blown away. I was blown away. I cried for a couple minutes because I was like, this was my passion. This was one of my goals I had in the back of my mind. But did I really think it was going to happen? It happened. So, I think everybody who voted, who came, who told their mother, baby mama, baby father, everybody who voted, thank you so much. And I tried to, from that point on, I wanted to make sure that passion came out through the podcast. So that's how the whole thing happened. And then Baltimore Sun reached out to me and said, "Congratulations, you won. Normally we throw a big party. but do you want a plaque? And I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, plaque $200. Like, oh no, that's all right. So, but it was cool that I had my name in the paper, and it was great. I remember that morning when it came on the paper, it was like a kid graduating from college again, or high school. Your name was in the paper or whatever it may have been. And I rushed out to 7-Eleven, and I went and got the paper. And this is how ignorant people are, man. So the guy at 7-Eleven, this is how racist stuff is. I'm like, oh, I'm in the paper. And it was the first black guy on the cover. And the guy's like, are you that black guy? And I'm like, really?
Wow.
And it was just like, that's how racist and that's how nonchalant racist people are. They don't get rat's ass.
Nope,
and I was like, actually, no, I'm doing something very positive right now. But I'm not going to give you time of day. So let me buy these papers and keep it moving, bro. So I bought papers for my mom, my sister. It was, you know how black people do. We get the paper and frame it and put it in, all that stuff. So
absolutely.
So it's a great feeling to do that, we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. That's, once again, congratulations, man. I didn't know you were up against such heavy hitters. Like I voted and I saw the list, and some of them I knew, and a lot of them I was like, I had never heard of it, but I didn't know it was like some big time hitters like that on there.
Yeah, there were some hitters, man. There was some, like, Wes Moore is no slouch. I mean, he's big time, and he has a show on WYPR or whatever the NPR show is in Baltimore. I don't know what it is, but they had like 4 different shows. And I didn't know any of those shows because, again, NPR has their own listener, and I'm not knocking who listens to NPR. It is what it is. I didn't listen to NPR. My friends don't listen to NPR, so I don't really know who listens to NPR. But that's not my cup of tea. Enat Pratt, I mean, they have heavy hitters, man. They get every author that comes into who has a big book, and they put them on their podcast, man. Wow. So, they have hitters, man. And again, to beat them, that was like, wow, like, this is legit. And when I won that, man, it's kind of like, you'll love the analogy. It's kind of like when Baby from Cash Money Records went to the show, the Breakfast Club. And him and Charlamagne were beefing, like they were upset, and it was like, you're gonna put some respect on my name.
Absolutely.
And finally, I got that respect on my name. And I even had people say to me, "What do you do after this? I mean, it's just like you won. It doesn't mean anything." I'm like, no, it means more than you think, more than you know. That it's a step. It's getting my foot in the door. It's giving me a key to the door. I'm not saying it's giving me to the top floor, but it's giving me a door key into the house. Now I can play with the big boys a little bit, but it's one foot in the door. And I had a lot of haters that came after me who were like, "What's this podcast?" And I ignored it because at the end of the day, it's a good show, and I enjoy what I do, and mine's a little unique, and I have a different voice, and I have the Black perspective of things, and I ask questions, and I ask pointed questions, and I want the people to understand that there are people out here that look like me that are just as good as some of these people on TV. You know what? They want credit, all the credit to them be on TV. But I'm going to tell the real raw stories because I feel like it's need to be told. So
absolutely, man, absolutely. And just to kind of go into what you said, so you won the best podcast for the Baltimore Sun 2020, and you like, I guess you probably went to a point where you're like, what's next? So I asked you, what is next? What's the next step for the Nopixafterdark podcast?
That's a great question, man. The sky's the limit. There's so many things. I mean, I could tell you right now, my numbers tripled after I won the podcast.
Wow.
Basketball tripled.
Wow.
And I don't brag about numbers because what did they say? Men and women lie, but numbers don't lie. So I never brag. You'll never see me brag. I got 1,000 followers. You'll never see me brag. I got 5,000 downloads. It's great. It's great for people. Some people like doing it. Me, you'll never hear me say that. I just keep on doing my mission. So What I try to do now is, man, I try to get better at my craft. Give a shout out to Miss Nikki Mayo. She's a Syracuse grad. She's in the industry. And, she took me upon her wings and said, hey, I said, well, let's chop it up. I have questions. Where do I go from it? Kind of like you said.
Yeah.
And she was like, listen, I haven't listened to your product, but from what I'm hearing and from what I read and what you won, congratulations. You got something. People like what they listen to. She was like, at that point, I had probably 65 episodes, something like that out. She was like, slow down. Slow down. She was like, let people catch up. Let people catch up.
That's a good one right there.
Don't let them catch in your show because you just putting out free. Boom, boom, boom. So you've done over a year's work. They just caught you winning at episode 60. Guess what? They need to go back and do their research.
Right, absolutely.
I understand how you got there. So that was, she didn't have to drop this dime to me, but she was dropping so many jewels to me. The second thing she said to me was, do it every other week or drop one once a month. Your choice. She was like, why are you doing this so hard? You have a full-time job. This is your hobby. I know you have passion for it, but maybe just do it twice a month and you'll still get the same traction. And it's crazy. I did that in late June and July, early July. And this is crazy what I'm going to tell you. I had higher numbers on 2 episodes released than I had sometimes when I released 5 episodes in 5 weeks.
Wow.
So the traction is there now, and people are listening by the droves. And so you're saying, what's next? So what I'm doing right now is I've already recorded 12 to 13 episodes. And I can't believe what I'm about to say is I'm done recording for this season. I'm done because a lot of people want to be on the show. I got to the point, man, that I have to say no just because I don't have time.
Yeah.
I just don't have time. I do, I'm fortunate enough that I have 2 sponsors, and they've helped me out tremendously. And I just don't have time. I have great episodes that need to be told. And what I'm doing now is I'm doing every other week. So the last 3 weeks, I was like, it was a 2-part, and then one came out this week. I had to put out because the timing issue was like her story was great. She's the president of the Museum of Science and Technology, but they just reopened. So I had to put it out quickly. I couldn't hold on to it longer. So I put her story out, but then I won't come out with one next week. And then I'm going back to my every other week. And I'm just going to be promoting, recycling old episodes. Like, go listen to, our boy Evan's show episode. Go check his episode out. Go check a lot of season 1's episode. Go check going back to Cali episode. There's so many episodes that's out there that you can go and listen to like, damn, this is really good. And you can see how I've grown and matured. I used to only give you like 30, maybe 25, 30-minute shows. Now I'm giving you straight like 55-minute to an hour shows.
Oh, wow.
And that's just because Nikki Mayo's a third gem. She said, take your time now. You can do your shows better. Instead of doing 30 minutes, you can extend it to 40, 50 minutes.
Wow.
So I've taken her advice and it has worked out so much. So again, that's somebody taking it upon themselves to tell me these things. And if I didn't hear this, I would have been putting them out every weekend. And you get burned out. And so I said, you know what? Every other weekend, like I have it to the point where it works out that I am good all the way until November.
Wow.
So it's pretty much I'm only dropping 2 months.
Yeah. That's man. That's awesome. It's crazy because, even as I'm doing this interview, I'm still learning stuff because I didn't even think about that. Like, you figure if you get a new follower or a new subscriber and you're on episode 70, they still have 69 episodes to catch up on. And that gives them time to catch up. And then they're anticipating and can't wait for the new episodes to drop. It's man. You got it right there. Think about it. I have, again, I'm not going to individually shout them out, but there's some business owners that are in my area. They love my show, man. They like, it's just a blessing. Like people I would never expect. Yeah,
Aaron,
man.
keep on doing what you're doing. Like business owners that I don't even know. I mean, like I said, you'll learn. People talk about their listeners in Europe. That's cool. And I mean, but at the end of the day, I try to make sure like in the U.S., I try to get that strong following because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that people who like friends who live in California. I like seeing numbers from the States.
Yeah.
Overseas is cool, but I like seeing numbers from the States. So my number one audience is obviously Maryland. My second biggest audience is New York. My third biggest audience is California. My fourth biggest audience is DC. Fifth is Pennsylvania. Sixth is Virginia. And then it goes on and on to North Carolina, Jersey, and Connecticut.
Man, you're reaching people all over the USA. It's amazing, man.
I mean, I got people in Australia who hit me up all the time. They have a great show I think it's called For Your Reference. Really cool podcast from Australia. And they always shout me out, and it's number love. So so you said, let me go back to finishing your question. Where do I go from there? Where do I go? So right now, I'm finished doing black to basics right now. The next new season, I don't really know which angle it's going because since I've won this Bus of Baltimore, now people are like, I want to be on a show. People who I could never have thought I could ever get on my show are now want to be on my show. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And one day we'll talk offline. I'll tell you some of the people, and you'll be like, wow. So now I'm like, all right, I'm looking for next season. What I'm going to do. So I've reached out to a couple people in LA. So I got probably 2 LA interviews that's coming up next season, possibly. I got a couple interviews from South Beach, Miami coming up. So I might be swiveling away from the Baltimore theme for one season, just because you got to expand your horizon. You never forget your base, but you want to expand your horizon, expand your people that listen, their listeners also. So that's where I go on this. I try to expand it, and I started LLC. So now I'm really a businessman.
Dope, man.
And I was selling shirts, so I appreciate you buying one. And
absolutely,
200 shirts, folks. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. It just helps pay for people. Don't understand. Zoom is not free. Zoom costs $14.99 a month. There's other expenses that you got to take care of that people don't understand, and that's all I want. A little money to pay for little things here and there, and marketing that costs things like that. So that's where this is going. It's going towards marketing and, like I said, getting better interviews with not better, but people that I never thought I could attain. Now that, like I said, I got that key to get in that house now.
Right, man. And let me tell you, I cannot wait to see the next step of Nopixafterdark podcast. Because when did you start the podcast? It was like, what, 2 years ago?
Not even, bro. I started last March 1st.
Wow. So from March of 2019 to now, I mean, the growth is like astronomical. I mean, you're an award winner now.
I didn't think it would happen this quickly. I really didn't. I thought maybe it takes 2 or 3 years to get into where you want to get to, and I'm not satisfied. I'm hungry. I have the passion, and young brothers like yourself, I want to help out. I want to take you under my wings and say, hey, listen, these are things you want to do. This is how you build your audience. This is how you're looking for it. This is what you're trying to do, and that's how you got. And I'm going to show you. Hey, hop on other people's podcasts, interview with their podcasts, understand their crowd. Their crowd might like what you're talking about. Hop on this one, hop on that one. Mm-hmm. That's the key, man. That's the key. Just getting your name out there, pushing the envelope, and just hustling and making sure everything is on point. That's what it's all about. And that's why I want to help young brothers out like yourself. And, hopefully I got another podcast, hopefully that we can work out that will come out. I don't know, but working on some other ventures, hopefully.
I love that answer that you said, that you're not satisfied. Because I know so many people would, win an award like that and be like, I'm good, man. I can just do whatever. I can just cruise control. No, you can never be satisfied. Keep pushing, keep going. It's awesome, man. And before we go, if you could give us, for anybody out there, you said you're kind of working on some other podcasts as well. If for anybody that's listening, if you had some advice for them on starting a podcast or a business or whatever it may be, what would your advice be for them?
Write everything down that you want to do. Write everything you want to do. Rome was not built in a day.
Absolutely.
Take your time. Understand what you're getting into. Understanding there's a million podcasts out.
Right.
Okay, cool. Some people tell you, I do it just because I want to talk about stuff I want to talk about. Cool. That's therapeutic for them. That's what they like doing. Others get into it and they're like, I want to be Joe Millionaire. Cool. That's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it for the stories and the lasting memories for my son can be like, damn, my dad had a cool ass podcast 20 years ago.
Yeah,
that shit was fire. He was on some next level shit that I'm looking back like, damn, we're talking about the same thing today. That's what I'm talking about. So have a game plan and just stay within your means. You don't have to be. You can record off your phone. You can record off anything. I just wanted to get good equipment because I don't want the sound.
Right.
It's kind of like they tell you when somebody calls your name, it's the most beautiful sound you'll ever hear. Your name called. You want that beautiful sound in the person's ears right there. So don't ever settle for less. Don't settle for less. Just keep on pushing. Don't care what anybody else says. What I did was I planned out what I wanted to do. And I told you this. I sent 3 of my test episodes out to 3 people who had no interest in podcasts. I mean, they listened to them, but they had no interest in my podcast. But they listened to them. And they said, "This is what you need to do, Aaron. This is what you need to do." And you got to take the constructive criticism. That's
absolutely.
Key. You got to understand it. Like, you know what? He's not telling me just because he hated. He just wants me to be better than him, and I like that. I like when people tell me, "Aaron, hey, you should have did this." Like, we can talk all day, but give you an example. Before I send any episode out, I send it to 2 of my friends. One likes red wine, one likes white wine. You see what I'm saying? So they got different taste. See how I'm saying? So I let them listen to it. And one came back and said, "Hey, Aaron, I wish you would have talked a little bit more about yada, yada, yada." But he was like, but then he said, "But I understand how your show's set up. It's all about the guest, not about you." So it's always good that the perspective to see it. And I'm like, maybe I could incorporate myself a bit more into it. Or maybe do I cannibalize episode or do I let my guests? Because at the end of the day, it's your guest show at the end of the day.
Right.
You want them to tell their story and feel comfortable. So that's that fine line, man. So again, find your niche, find your audience, know what you're going for. It takes time. If people lie when they say they have 100 downloads in 1 week or 100 downloads for one episode. They're lying. Don't listen to all the outside noise. I tell people, do your own mission, and you will get there. I have guys who tell me when they got mad, "Oh, you won that Best of Baltimore." Yeah, how many downloads do you have? Don't care about that. Care about what you're doing. Care about what you do, and just follow. But we can talk all day, and we might do a part 2 on this, bro, because there's so much gems and jewels I want to give you and give the audience. If you want to start a podcast, you can do it. But understand, people out there, there's a million podcasts. Where do you fit in? That's all I talk. So I ask people, where do you fit in?
Yep. And that was one of the first things you asked me. Where do you fit in? What's your niche? Because like you said, it's a million podcasts. And what's going to make these people click on yours? What's going to make them choose you over somebody else? What's going to make them say, "Hey, this podcast is it. You got to listen to it. You got to find it." Man, you have dropped some gems, some dimes. I've learned more during this interview than maybe we've talked offline. Like you blessed my whole podcast just now, man.
Hey, I want you to succeed. I want you to be better than me. Why not? I don't care. Like at the end of the day, guess what? We're all in this together. And, I always tell people, if you got talent, I'm all about here helping you out. Let's make it happen. Let's there's so many things out there I could tell you about. But again, tell folks, I just want to leave the part news, letter words. Just focus on what you got to focus on. Find your niche, find your voice, have a pattern, understand what you're talking about. Don't ramble about shit all day. If you want to ramble about shit, cool. But I'm not going to listen.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't, just be different. That's all I got to say. Be different.
Man, I love it, man. I love it. Before we get out of here, let everybody know how they can find your podcast, your website, where they can find you if they want to buy. I'm not sure, you might be sold out of t-shirts, but just let everybody know how they can get in touch with the No Picks After Dark podcast.
You can find me on No Picks After. If you Google No Picks After Dark, No Picks PIX afterdark.com. Picks PIX. Make sure you put that in there. If you just type in Google and I'm popping up, those geometrics or whatever you call it, they pop up for me now.
Right. Yeah.
So I have a nopixafterdark.com. I have my website. My website has all my episodes, everything. Tells the story of my life, tells you how it started, what's going on, current events, who I've teamed up with. I've teamed up with a brewery before. I've teamed up for the book opening signing. Tells you all the story about what's going on the podcast. If you want to reach me on the podcast, you can hit me on my website. There's a section that says, how do you reach the podcaster? And you click on it, it emails right to me. It emails right to me, which is awesome. That's my dog in the background. Sorry.
That's all right.
And also, you can find me on IG, Nopixafterdark _ LLC. And then you can find me on Twitter, Nopixafterdark. And you can find me on Nopixafterdark on Facebook also. So I'm on all social medias, but if you really want to hit me, find me either on my webpage or you can find me on my Instagram, because that's where I mostly return and talk with people. And if I don't get back to you right away, it's not because I'm being bougie and being just I'm too cool. It's just that I have a full-time job. I got a kid. I can't. It's hard to get back to people, but I try to get back to you people within a day or two. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on your show. I mean, your show is rocking. It's kicking ass. It's in infant stages, and whatever I can do, brother, to get you to where you need to get to, I'm going to do it. And one advice I will tell you, this is to all podcasters out there. Listen to this. If you have a guest on your show, I don't care if they're big. I don't care if they're a celebrity. You need them to promote the show that they're on. Because you want their audience to listen to your show. Absolutely. It's not about you promoting your show. They need to take pride in what they're doing. And if they're doing an interview, they need to promote the interview also. So that's a very important thing. And when you let me know once the interview drops, it'll be all on my Instagram. It'll be all on my Facebook. It'll be on Twitter, because people need to promote other podcasts. Stop being stingy about your podcast.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Let's help each other out. Once again, man, thank you for coming on. Like you said, you don't do a lot of interviews. So for you to come on my show, it means a lot, man.
I don't do
thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. I don't know if you've been, I've never heard you on another podcast or like anything like that. You're on 2?
Think about it. I've done 78 episodes. I'm only on 2.
I'm only on 2.
Now this is my 3rd one.
Right. So that's big, man. That's big, man.
I don't do guest appearances. I don't talk to other people's guests, because if it doesn't line up for who you are and what you stand for, you don't do it.
Absolutely.
Just because maybe they have 15K followers, you still don't do it. Because if it doesn't line up to you, that 15K followers, only probably 2 are going to follow you.
Exactly. That makes sense.
I think that's my dog telling me I got to go.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Everybody, thank you for listening. Another episode of The Spot with Double T. We out this thing. Y'all stay safe out there. Deuces.
Peace.